journalist Liam Pieper at Brunswick Street Bookstore in Inner Melbourne to talk about his provocative new novel, The Toymaker. Liam, thanks so much for joining us at Better Reading. I would love for you to tell us all about your new novel.
Thank you, I would love to. It is the story of a Australian man called Adam Kulikov. Kind of a all-around knockabout Australian bloke who is the heir to a giant toy company that was founded by his grandfather, a survivor of the Holocaust, and one of that wave of immigration, that greatest generation of new Australians that came to this country and so enhanced our culture and our economy and have become such a formative part of our national myth and I guess soul as a country. Arkady Kulikov, this book follows his struggles to try and survive and maintain his humanity in the depths of that great obscenity that was the Holocaust. And half of the book follows his narrative, while the other half follows the trials of his grandson Adam trying to live up to his grandfather's legacy, this kind of impossibly heroic story. So it's that's the basic plot. It sounds very dull now, but I assure you it's quite thrilling. It is sort of a thriller. It's being described as a moral thriller of sorts. It deals with a lot of big questions about, what it is to be a good person, what it is to do evil. How much evil can you do and still turn your life around and do good? Questions that I think are quite germane to Australia and this moment in history in which we find ourselves. That's a very vague précis, but I would encourage you all to read the book if you haven't, to get a better idea what it's about. And if you have, thank you kindly. I do appreciate it.
Look, I have to say, as a reader, I thought I knew exactly where this book was going. I really did right from the start. Adam, who is the character that we start with, is this, incredibly unlikable character. I think I could speak as a woman to say that he's not really great. He's kind of inherited this massive, toy company fortune and sort of feels like he's squandering it. I sort of thought I knew what was going to happen. His long-suffering wife, Tessa, you sort of set it up so that there's, Adam's done something that you just think is going to tear apart this legacy that his grandfather has clawed back, to build from his, after surviving the horrors of the Holocaust. But it doesn't go that way at all, Liam. And I'm just wondering, how do you do that? How do you create, sort of little traps for the reader so that they think they know where things are going, but actually it goes somewhere completely different?
That's a very good question. And the answer is you make a lot of mistakes. The book started, it's an idea that's been kicking around in my head forever, for more than a decade probably. And the ending of this book, I don't think it gives it away to say that the ending is, well, that's the bit I'm most proud of. It's a pretty good ending. I don't mean to sound conceited there, but it is far and away the best bit of the book, so keep going. The ending, I had this idea, it's a twist, I don't think that gives too much away, but the rest of the story spun itself out from there, and so it just naturally lent itself to these little corridors and cul-de-sacs. And I really love when I read a book to be fooled. I'm that terrible smug jerk who, when you go to see a movie with him, will whisper across and loudly whisper in the cinema what the ending will be. I ruined M. Night Shyamalan's career even before he did. Sorry, Shyama. But so if I can be fooled by a twist, a movie, a book, a text, I love it. And so that's sort of what I set out to do here. And so along the way I've salted all these little misdirections and clues, some of which play with the idea that we are on this sort of treasure hunt together. That's kind of a lie though. I did it because I was writing this book for so very long that you spend a long time with these characters and with these books that you start to, I guess, salt away these little Easter eggs and clues and keep yourself kind of engaged and twisted within the narrative.
Absolutely, and you definitely do that. And this goes some very dark places. Of course, as you've said, it does not get darker than Holocaust stories. And And you really go there with that. There's some really extraordinarily dark undercurrents here. What I want to ask is, are you slightly obsessed with dark secrets, Liam Pieper? When I was reading this, I thought, oh, you know, there's some real, you know, just when you thought you've gotten to the darkest bit, there's another dark layer underneath it. Those kind of subterranean waters. Are you drawn to those?
I suppose I am. It's a very good question. But I was very drawn to this story of the Holocaust. It's about, in particular, it's set at Auschwitz, you know, which is the site of one of the worst acts that humanity has ever perpetrated on itself. But within that, there was this one historical figure, Joseph Mengele, the archetypal mad Nazi scientist, and the things he did there went beyond evil. You know, they went into a kind of a demonic realm. You know, he was a human Hieronymus Bosch painting, basically. Just the things that happened there have obsessed me since I was very young, and it's something. The idea of a doctor who's pure evil. You know, the doctors are supposed to be the good guys. The idea that a doctor could inflict the experiments that he conducted on women and children, civilians, all, but mainly children. It boggles the mind, you know, you cannot process that kind of evil. But that is a theme I was very interested in with this book, the idea of ostensibly good people doing terrible things.
Absolutely, and you really managed to achieve that, Liam. I don't want to give too much more away with this book, and as much as I would love to talk to you more and ask you more in-depth questions about all of the twists and turns that I discovered, I feel like I need to let readers discover that for themselves. But it was such a pleasure to be able to talk with you here today at the wonderful Brunswick Street bookstore, and I'd just like to sort of, you know, put a word out to say, get this book. It's very provocative and thought-provoking, but you will not be disappointed.
I concur. I would second that. I think the good people of Better Reading I hope they enjoy the book. I hope you all love it. I hope you read it. And thank you all for joining me live from Brunswick Street Books.